Hi. This is going to be really quick. This is just a quick note about my most recent videos regarding new wine and the Lord calling many of us, into a time of wilderness to be set apart and get our minds renewed, to get us out of old ways, old habits, old perspectives. Even ones that have been handed down to us even through the church, some through culture, some through church culture. So I wanted everyone to understand, though, that not everybody's time of being called aside and this sort of accelerated renewing of the mind and working old things out to make room for the new, it's not going to look the same for everybody, right? So I've mentioned before, I've been in a long process at this. I mentioned the last 3 years, right? And really, it's been longer than that. But the last 3 years have been the most, in many ways at least, intense. So as far as me being, like I said, not having the kind of network around me to comfort me, influence me, guide me in the same way that I think most of us are used to. And I had a time even before that was, and sometimes worse, but that was me coming out of a prodigal phase. So I was still struggling to even seek counsel from other believers at that point. So that was a different type of wilderness, right? But so the last 3 years have been, really, really strange, discouraging. It has absolutely been a wilderness, but it's also been absolutely necessary. I didn't think it was. Of course I didn't, right? If I thought that it was necessary, I would have been able to see all the things that needed to be changed, and then I would have just changed them, right? I want everyone to know that it's not going to look the same for everybody. What has taken years for me is because of who I am, because of my past, because of the different nature and nurture in my life. Also, I'm going to have a different path, calling, purpose than some people are going to have. So it is a very individual thing. There's going to be some people where they're just going to have like a week, right, where they have just this intense time with the Lord, solitude, no distractions, right? And for them, for their purpose, their calling, and what's in their lives, that is really that's going to be their wilderness. For some, it's going to be longer than that. For some, it might be sporadic. I just want everyone to know that it's not going to be the same for everybody. And also, I want everyone to know that some of us have been in the wilderness for a while now, while others are going into it, and some are right in the middle of it. So if you haven't had that time yet and you've been avoiding it, look out, right? And when it comes, don't begrudge it, right? Lean into it. For those who are in the middle of it, hang on. It does not last forever. The wilderness always leads to a promised land, right? It just doesn't seem like that. And if you've never seen the promised land before, it's hard to even recognize the signs of when it's around the corner, right? So just hang on. And those of us who've been in it for a while, and the wilderness is a place of transition. It is a transition from Egypt, from the ways of Egypt, the corruption and bondage of Egypt, to the promises of the Lord. But the wilderness is as long as it needs to be, and that is really dependent on us in many ways. So some of us are coming out of that, and we're in the transition from the transition, right? So the wilderness is a transitional place, but there's also another part of that transition, which is transitioning out of that place. That is when you can kind of see the promised land in the distance. You've even checked it out, but now you've got to deal with the giants in the land, right? It's there for yours for the taking. You are backed by the God of the universe, and He purposed you for it. But that does not mean it's over. You are now out of the wilderness. You are on that cusp, and it's time to address the giants in the land, to clear the way, right? And that is the transition from the transition. And that is, I believe, where I'm at right now. I believe there are others who are in that transition from the transition. And there are others who are already starting to put roots down in the promised land. And that is going to look different for everybody. So that is why we need to lean so heavily on daily fellowship and counsel from the Lord, because there's going to be a huge importance on being dependent on Him moment by moment. And that is not to stress you out. That is to give you hope that you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have a 10-step plan or a 5-year plan. Now, there might be times where the Lord gives you insight and leads you to say, okay, this is what the next 5 years is going to look like for you. That is pretty rare, but it does happen. And that's just because that's what is needed in that time for that person. But be encouraged. Just because you are in a wilderness or approaching a wilderness does not mean that is the end of the story. There's a point to that wilderness. You've got to be removed from Egypt, and Egypt needs to be removed from you. And I'm going to go much deeper into that in some other videos. We need some new vision and some new changes, and in our perspectives. We've grown too accustomed to the culture and ways of this world that we have I hate to say it, but we have an adulterated version, right, of the ways of the Father. And it's time that is addressed. Times are way too volatile right now to be messing around. And so we just have to get on board. The sooner we do, the sooner we let go of the former ways of thinking and being and doing and self-soothing and all that, then we can have a more real encounter with our Father, God in heaven, and be able to better hear and discern what the Holy Spirit is saying to us in that moment. And not lean on our own understanding and what we have come to know, right? So I'm going to leave this here. I am going to make longer videos going deeper into this. I just want to put this out there as an encouragement. Just because somebody else's wilderness is long and difficult doesn't mean yours is going to be the same. Yours might be worse, but it might not be as bad, right? What you need to focus on is less about that and more about, okay, but what is the Lord trying to accomplish in me? He is a God who loves His children individually and knows what we need individually and corporately, right? As the church, he sees the big picture, right? He sees micro and macro all at the same time. So instead of fighting it, get on board. It will expedite the process. I promise. Don't lag behind, right? By holding on to what is familiar, what is comfortable, even what makes sense to you, because what makes sense to you is based on your own understanding. It is based on what you've known so far, right? But the promises are a continuation, and what was known before is going to be deeper and more fulfilled in what will be known in the future, right? Now, I know there's going to be people who are going to be upset and say, well, you're not supposed to add to the Bible. I'm not adding to the Bible, right? This is very, very biblical stuff, right? This is why the Pharisees knew the current Bible front and back and could not perceive who the Messiah was, right? So, and I'm going to go even deeper into that too in other videos. I just don't want to keep this video too long. I want this to be a quick encouragement, and I will go deeper in other videos if you're interested. And it's going to get heavy. I mean, it's going to be heavy hitting. I'm going to say stuff people don't want to hear. It's going to be offensive to many people. And I'm honest. Fortunately, I'm just getting started out here. I'm not too worried about can't talk. I'm not too worried about losing subscribers because I have hardly any right now. So this is the time to just let it all hang out right now. And I'm going to do that because that is what the Lord is saying. He's tired of mincing words. He wants to paint a picture for us because we are dragging our feet. And we got to get past that. So it's going to be a heavy hitter. It's going to be rough. It's going to be offensive. Like it just will be. Some people will take it and it's going to be rhema. It's going to resonate, and other people, it's going to be too hard for them to hear right now. And in that way, then I'm going to present it. So I apologize. It's like a sorry, not sorry kind of scenario here. So if you're not ready to be challenged and hear something that could be maybe a little bit affronting, don't listen to it. You don't have to. If you are ever ready, go for it. I do encourage you to ask the Holy Spirit to give you ears to hear and eyes to see what you need to. Always take everything I put out there to the Lord and ask him what he is trying to say to you about that, right? Okay, that's it. Thanks. Be blessed. Bye.